This week on the Creating Victory podcast, host Amy J chats with financial literacy expert and educator Denae Hannah. Denae, a lifelong dancer, shares her journey of paying off her student loan and credit card debt and beginning her journey as a financial expert and educator. This powerful episode dives deep into our often dysfunctional relationship with money, the lack of financial education for youth and young adults, and what practical steps we can take to also become debt-free.
Hello, my friends. We are back this week with the amazing Denae Hannah at the Creating Victory podcast. Thank you for sharing, listening, downloading, subscribing, because we are all about creating victory in any moment, no matter what is going on. And I know I always say this, but it's always true. This woman we have here this week is a rock star. She's so inspiring. We've known each other a really long time. We've been through some stuff together. And I'm really excited that we were able to hook this up. So I have with me today the beautiful and brilliant Miss Denae Hannah, who is a certified financial, I don't want to mess this up.
I'm a candidate for certified financial planner certification. So I have one more step to go. I'm a candidate, not there yet. And then an accredited financial counselor. I have been for a few years now, as well as a certified financial education instructor.
I wish
so many letters.
I know. Denae and I met through dance and dance education and diabetes advocacy, and she's a graduate of Stanford. She has a M.F.A. from FSU. She's a beautiful dancer, a brainiac, an amazing producer, an amazing stage manager. She's the person you want in your corner for us flighty people to go, whoa, let's rein it in a little bit, figure out how we're going to make this work. So, Denae, I'm so happy to see you. It's been forever. Hi.
Hi, Amy. It's so great to see you as well. Your smile just lights up my day.
Oh,
so we've known each other for over a decade now. So I'm really excited to connect with you anytime. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So share a little bit. I guess when we met, it was related to the diabetes and obesity prevention program through dance, and you'd had a lot of dance education, and share about sort of your initial education before you segued into the whole financial planning space.
Yeah, that came largely through the M.F.A. program at Florida State University, because all graduate students are required to teach, or I would say most, or at least at the time I was there, are required to teach. So you could apprentice with a specific professor, and they also had graduate students teaching ballet, modern, and hip hop, jazz. I think there's quite a few classes. So I believe I was teaching a hip hop 1 was my graduate course, but that was a beginning of the teacher training, because they have a teacher training approach they taught there. And then also in New York City, I did the Simonson teacher training, which is another dance form by Lynn Simonson. So she has a very specific dance teacher approach. So those are probably my 2 biggest teaching influence.
And you came with such a wealth of organization. You joined the board and PR and how to navigate the back end and logistics. And one of the things I've always admired about you is we get put in these boxes as artists. Like, I'm a dancer. But for a lot of us, we have a lot of capacities, and we can use all sides of our brains. And you do that, I think, better than anyone I've really known. And I know when you were in New York and we were working together and producing shows, you went on this journey to pay off your student loan debt. And that was amazing. And credit cards. And that was in the mid 2000s. So as an artist, how did you navigate making that happen and still being creative? Because I think we get in a one or the other kind of mind state so often.
So you brought up a lot of things for me. So literally my birthday was last week, and that was celebrating 10 years debt-free as an artist.
Oh.
So it still is. I'm still celebrating that moment. And it took me 3 years to get debt free. So this would have been 13 years ago. It's 2026. So 2013. Yeah, that was when I became debt free. And then it was like 3 years. Yeah, that's when I started the journey to become debt free, was in 2013. And I think as an artist,
Because you were working a full-time job to make
I was
that.
working, I was gigging. I was doing all the gigs.
You were doing
I was,
everything.
they was still called Task Rabbit at that time. I was tasking. There was there's a job board at Dance New Amsterdam and at Mark Morris. I think there were job boards at dance studios, and we were looking on Craigslist. I think that's how I found you, was
Yes, Craigslist.
Me and my dance friends, we were like, we're going to pick up the work where we can. So it was part of the project. I was temping for the same temp agency that hired mostly artists, and they placed you in temp positions, usually in office buildings in Manhattan. Yeah, it was many different jobs. And then one job, I was there for 2 years. That was like the last, like I was part-time, and then I was like probably full-time the last year. But it was literally every job I had, I took a portion of it and like put it towards, at the first I did my credit cards, and then I did my student loans. But I felt like when the student loans kicked in, I was like, oh my gosh, Sally Mae wants her money and I don't have it.
Yeah, I know that
I
feeling.
don't have it, Sally. I don't have it. And I felt like these student loan payments were affecting my ability to be an artist. I was like, well, I have to work this day job, because if I don't, I can't pay Sally her money. And so I was like, I don't think I should, if I could get rid of this like $300 to $500 debt, I might have more freedom to like take a dance job that wants to travel to Europe for 2 weeks and come back, like actually have the flexibility to pick up this type of gig work. So I set the goal to become debt free in 3 years. I didn't have any idea how it was going to happen, but I knew I would be a better artist for it, because I just wouldn't, it wouldn't cost as much. I felt like I could be lighter and like more nimble and try different things.
Well, you said one of the keywords, you set the goal. And I know I had no financial education. I came from just go do your thing and don't worry about it. I think a lot of us experience that. Or when I get the audition, there was no practical skill, and you really approached it and stuck to your guns, which I admired. Like you were, I remember that. You're like, nope, I'm bringing my lunch. No, it was the little things you don't think about every day, but you really, and you see this stuff now on social media, but
now it's a big thing.
Now it's a thing. But then I said, wow, she's doing it. It got me thinking, do I really need that? Do I really need that?
And to me, that was the accountability. It was like, I'm going to share this on my friend's page.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling people that I set the goal, and then I chose to share the goal as a way to keep myself accountable to it. And then at a certain point, I was like, well, I've been doing this for a few months. Like, I think we're just going to have to keep going, which is hard to keep going, because I was like, well, the math does not make sense. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get $50,000 in 3 years. Like, I don't know where, who, how. But yeah, having your feedback and other people's feedback, even in the comments along the way. Now, this is like, had that been today, the amount of like, people make whole social media careers out of paying off debt or documenting these type of journeys. But
things have changed a lot.
Things have changed.
Well, that really led you into this whole other trajectory in your life, is what happens to us sometimes out of force of habit, or what is it? The mother of the,
necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah. So share a little bit about how you decided to go on this journey to become certified. And I know you have these huge goals. Your mission now is wealth creation for liberation. You want to support 1 million Black women to become debt-free by 2030, which 2030.
I was like, I'm going to live a long time, Amy.
Yes, you are. You're immortal in my eye. So, I wish I had known you at certain facts, because we just don't get this stuff as young people. I think there are places now for it, but what inspired you to go on this incredibly challenging journey? You're at Howard. You went through the program at Howard?
Yes, I have my certificate in financial planning from Howard University School of Business. And then there's this like final 6-hour exam. That's what I'm getting ready for November that I mentioned earlier, because I'm like, okay, we're almost there. But that means I've had 6,000 one-on-one hours, mostly a lot of with artists of financial coaching and financial planning. So, but I got here because I did you saw the social media. I was paying it off. I was tracking it down, paying it off, paying it off. It really came down to the last wire. I was like, oh wait, we got a tax refund. Use that. Like it got there by the end, like right at the end. But then I threw for my birthday party, because the goal date was by my birthday. So I threw Denae's Debt-Free Fiesta. And that was in Brooklyn at a local bar around the corner from my house, Bijan's. And people came out, but they came out more to talk to me about the debt part. Like people were like, yeah, happy birthday.
But
Well, let's talk about this like debt-free thing. And I was like, it's my birthday, But people wanted to talk about it, and organically it was just like little individual conversations. And then I was like, I feel like people are like trained to do this. Like people are prepared more in a way to actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know that I am that person. I have a lot of dance education, but maybe they're doing it now in undergraduate and graduate programs teaching financial literacy in the classrooms, but they were not at the time. So I just started Googling like financial counseling, financial coaching, certifications. One of the early ones I came across was the Certified Financial Planner, which is the test I'm about to sit for. And they gave me a scholarship based on my story to take the classes. Now, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Like, I thought I was like going to take a class and take a test. It is 7 years later.
Yes.
So I jumped a little further down than I realized. They should have said, you will get a whole graduate degree. They should have started with a class, like prepare for graduate school. They could have started there.
That may have been better. Sometimes you have to just jump into the deep end of the pool and then you figure out how to swim.
It was that deep. We realized that all the things we just don't learn. I mean, maybe some people do learn it within the household, but
not really.
It was just so much. Like I would be like, because I would hear as a dancer, like with certain performers, oh, they have to have insurance, like because they work with fire, or they have like a prop or something. But I didn't really understand insurance. Or I knew, I got an internship to work in the music video department of this production company, but they said they'd give us the full Adobe suite so we could use like Final Cut or Premiere and all of the programs. But we had to have our own laptop. So I like walked into the Apple store and they were like, we'll give you this credit card and the laptop and it's 0%. And I was like, great.
And then 29% 6 months later.
I just didn't know. I was just like, okay, I'm doing whatever I need to do. And yeah, so helping other people just as friends, and that turned into certifications. And now the certification I started with was way too hard. It was like level 10 and I was at level 1. Then I kind of went backwards. I just got a credit counselor certification. And then I just got like financial literacy certification, and then accredited financial counselor, and now certified financial planner. So I just started with credit and debt, like, because that was really my story. It was like, hey, I want to pay off debt. And then, well, how do you teach it? That's the financial educator. And then the job I have now is as like I talk to 4 or 5 people a day about their personal finances counseling. So that's where that is. And then financial planner, you can do things like investments or insurance, which require their own sort of licensure and stuff like that.
I think this is so inspiring and important, because we're in such and more in this all or nothing world, especially with social media, like, boom, I'm this. But for those of us who've watched this journey online, I did great on this test, I have to retake that test. And you just kept going. And I was like, dang, she is at home studying. I mean, I think that's so important when you're working towards something. It's not so black and white. You just have to keep at it every day? Like, what kept you motivated? How did you not?
Mm.
I fail a test and I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. I'm so dramatic.
I was with you. That was me last year, Amy. I failed the certified financial planner test the first time. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. You want me to sit down for 6 hours, 2 minutes a question? My brain can't even read that fast. Like I was over it. I was over it. And then this year I became unover it. So yes, we do go through our phases of like, I don't want to do it.
And it passes.
Yeah. What's really my arts, I say dance because it really is primarily the dance community. But I, interact with a lot of different types of artists, but dance and then maybe musicians are right a close second. It's from people asking me questions. Like people come to me sometimes formally through my jobs like system, but then the people will text me. I remember when I was paying off my debt, people would just text me like, oh, I paid off my credit card today and I know no one would care, but you'll get it. So I just wanted to tell you that I'm working on it too. So it was really just people's feedback saying, oh, this was like impacting me in a certain way, or it made me proud that I paid off my credit card. And even though I might not post about it, but I'll text Denae. And then really the big push to work full time in financial services was the pandemic. I'm living in Brooklyn. When this happens, the shows that I was in were now closed. Anytime somebody got COVID in the cast, now we're quarantining for 14, the whole cast.
Right.
For 14 days, like just the way dance work shifted, I was like, oh, I have to get another job. Like, I don't even know when we're going to be back in the theater dancing. I had enough experience hours and I think I had finished my first or second certification that I was able to get a job as a financial counselor in East New York. Ooh. In the Brownsville houses on the first floor. And then I was labeled an essential worker because it was tax season and it was a government space.
Wow.
And nobody knew really what was going on with, this is early.
New York was crazy.
And nobody had like correct information. Like I remember wanting to wear a mask and my supervisor being like, we don't need to wear a mask. And actually having a back and forth with the supervisor. I remember going to doctor's appointments and being like, I'm gonna just have these little extra gloves here. Just in case. I'm filing taxes with pink surgical gloves on.
Pink. Had to be pink.
That's what was in the doctor's office. That's funny. But people were really in a place of desperation. Like I would have hand sanitizer on my desk. It would be gone after one appointment. If I put, any sort of Lysol, people were locking things in drawers, toilet paper. It was just
crazy.
Yeah.
It
was a lot going on, but dance was definitely not happening. This job was happening, but then it got really intense. And I was at a training conference and the guy sitting next to me was like, oh, I work on the virtual remote team or like different team. I was like, what team is that? That's the team I need to be on. And I remember interviewing for that job in the local Dollar Tree. Like outside of, I had to go out of the office that I had in Brownsville and walk down the street and around the corner to the Dollar Tree to interviewing at the Dollar Tree.
They wouldn't hear.
So they would.
You do what you got to do,
I needed to be on the remote team real bad. Because shout out to everybody who was an essential worker. I at least had an option to pivot, but a lot of people didn't. And it was, I'm talking to somebody who's from New York, but yeah, New York was a big push to be like, hey, what if it's not an injury that stops you from dancing? Like, what if literally there is no dancing?
Right.
Except for on Zoom, which you could still do those shows, but that was a whole dance on Zoom thing.
Right. No,
but yeah, I was like, okay, we have to be adaptable, be flexible, because no one could have said, okay, it was going to be that, but the rent still had to get paid. So how do we get creative? And sometimes you have to stand in the Dollar Tree doing an interview, pretending to look at the same greeting card over and over again.
whatever it. How was that when you were there? So you were working one-on-one with clients already?
When I was in Brownsville,
Yeah.
it was any families who lived within the towers. Like it was kind of like a quad, like a square shaped multi-housing
Yeah.
situation. And they did tax filing in that office. So there's places, and this is across the nation, called volunteer income tax assistance.
Oh, wow.
They have offices all over the nation. If you go onto the IRS website, you can put in your zip code for what's called a VITA site, VITA, and it will tell you where you can get your taxes done for free in your location. So they ran one of those tax filing sites there, as well as did one-on-one coaching as part of like I want to say it was like a workforce development program, so that they had like certain careers you could do, but you would have to see a career coach and then like the financial coach, and then like it was like I was like a stop on the way.
Yeah.
Like you have to talk to this person to, check off the next box so you can like do the next process. So yeah, I saw all sorts of different situations, all sorts of different situations.
I mean, there's nothing like on the job. We go through these textbooks, but then when you get in the swamp, it's like, oh, let me see how to navigate all of this. Support people. I'm sure they were immensely grateful because, so many of us are just, what do I do? Taxes. And, like you said, insurance. I went through that with the company. Oh, I have to have insurance to be in this facility. Wait, that's a write-off? Wait, where do I get it for 3 days?
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
Need it yesterday? How much? It's $800? Like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm. And it was literally that job when I first started these classes. I had a summer internship, but that was like at like an ultra wealthy office. So it was the difference between those two jobs in that moment dramatic. I mean, it's literally generationally wealthy versus like generationally impoverished. Like you see both systems at play. They're different day-to-days, but also within the same like overall financial system, because it's all within New York City. Both jobs are in New York. Just very different parts of New York.
Yeah, because it is by design, a lot of it, which is a whole other conversation that we don't, that's for another podcast. I've learned a lot about that in my, recent education. But how did the trajectory to support 1 million Black women to become debt-free through to 2030 and this campaign basically?
It's so interesting that you say that, because I was at a reunion and someone's like, how's the 1 million debt-free Black women by 2030 going? And I was like, what? Because I feel like so much has been going on just in the world lately that I'm like, what? So for you to ask me as well, I'm like, oh yeah, I did say that. And this is why you share publicly, because then somebody will ask you. And you'll
on your website. I was like, oh, that's so encouraging.
Yeah.
Just 1 million people debt-free in general, but certain communities are isolated by intention, and how to change that systemic situation.
Yeah, I think it was just my personhood as a Black woman, feeling what it was like to live with debt and then experience now a decade of not having any debt. It's so different. And at this point, I've probably helped 45, somewhere between 45 and 50 people and couples become debt free.
Congratulations.
And I was like, oh, well, man, 1 million is a lot further away than I expected. We're at 50.
For one person, you're gonna have to license your ideology and start to
look, here goes the
certification and grow it out all over the country and teach it, and I'll be there cheering for you.
Yes, I'm glad this is on the podcast. Yes, Amy. This is me setting big goals that I don't know how I'm going to get to.
Queen of that. Yeah. You're always the one going, you need how much money? $100,000. You need what? Denae's at my movie. She's going, how much money does it gonna be to break here? Really? And I'm just on the couch like, yeah, oh, no worries. So
I guess, I'm still an artist in the core, which has actually been interesting and had some bumps, some heads within being in financial services, because financial services people are very different than artists.
yes.
In so many
Can
ways.
you explain some ideas about that? Because I find that in the business world, but you must really find it. They're very linear.
Aggression
Oh, that's interesting.
and this idea of just working yourself, working the body, like grinding, like, yeah, all I think of is aggression and grind. And it's very male. It's a very male dominated space. Like,
Yeah.
when I was going to say if, but when I finish my certified financial planner certification, I will be less than 1% of certified folks. Like, only 1.2% overall is Black of like the 100,000 people.
Planners.
So I'm like a percent, I'm like a teeny
Like
tiny.
a 0.02 of the.
Yeah. I'm a little bit. So overwhelmingly, it is a white male culture of people who come from money or either came into money or have money. So they're doing a different.
Right. They're in a different
place. They're in a different life. I think artists are often questioning the systems that we live in and work in, whereas those folks are creating the systems that we live and work in. So there's definitely some fundamental attitude differences.
Yeah. What a mission, though, to, we talk about creating victory in the moment in the world. And I'm always talking about each person has a mission and each individual mission. This is how the systems change. It's slow and challenging, but one conversation, every person that you help, every person you have to butt heads with, let's do this with some compassion. Let's do this not out of greed, anger, and foolishness, but out of supporting community. And I say it all the time. I'm not an economist or a planner, but the better the people are doing, the better everyone's doing. They have it so backwards. And support the people. Get them paid. Get them insurance. They will spend more money. The economy will improve. Stop.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
talk
sure.
about a little silo of like echo chamber. Anytime I'm like at a conference, I'm like, oh, I'm in the chamber. It's echoing. Like, it's just, they are the opinions of themselves. It's not really like an outsider. Wow. Usually they think that I'm somebody's administrative assistant or that I'm I have multiple times had to be like, I'm here. I am an attendee. I am also you. I just look different than you. So you might not think that I'm you. Amy, before we have to end, I have to give you a shout out and Sweet Enough and teaching health and diabetes prevention through dance, a shout out, because it has come back into my life last fall. I got reached out, somebody from Oakland reached out to me about wanting to do financial literacy for their teens. These are Black girls ages 12 to 16.
Oh, wow.
And they, I guess, had seen it on TikTok, like something about budgeting or money. And they had asked their teachers, like, can we like learn how to budget?
Wow.
I was like, the babies are on TikTok. Yes. And they asked
Here they are
to learn how to budget. Great. But they wanted to do it through dance. And I said, okay, hold on. Okay, wait,
didn't we do this in another life or something?
Yeah, I was like, okay, you want to teach the content, but you want the kids dancing and moving. And I said, Amy, had I not had that experience with Sweet Enough, I don't know that I would have felt confident or even had an idea of how to approach teaching concepts through movement for kids. And this was also over Zoom. So I had the Zoom, But it was 4 1-hour classes.
Wow.
We did all the parts of a budget. We did like income and like how to collect money. And they learned the 6 questions you must ask anybody who's going to pay you ever. You have to have the answer to these 6 questions. And they choreographed the 6 questions.
Oh my
Then they
gosh.
performed it while somebody else read the questions. And then they got to improvise and they made the movement because it was like, who is going to pay me? And they were like, who is going to pay me? When are they going to pay me? When are they going to pay me?
It sounds vaguely familiar. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Inspiring. I know we could go
dance
on.
finance.
Yes, there you go. That's a whole other segue. You're going to need a whole staff. Do you have any closing? I mean, I could go on all day because you're so, so brilliant. But, for our artists, friends, managing money, how you did it, you have any final thoughts, ideas?
2 things come to mind because there's literally, it can feel overwhelming because there's just so much information out there. But on just a personal level, writing down or trying to document your money movement is sometimes the beginning step, because even if you are to ask someone to help you, they might ask you, okay, what has happened? Or
where's it go?
What do you owe? Or like, can you make a list of all your debts? Or can you make a list of all your bills with the date that the bill is due? Like just starting to write down your own life and your own flow can be the foundation of like seeking help later, because it's kind of like maybe even like healthcare. You would have to go describe your symptoms or when did this start or what happened. It's very similar seeking help around financial services. And that was going to be my part 2. Know that there is help available there. Now, the challenge is that there's a lot of scams also, but there is also a lot of legitimate help. I'll say financial empowerment centers are nationwide, FEC centers. They're definitely in New York as well. They will give free financial counseling. And then accredited financial counselors, AFC, if you look up like AFC counselor, they have a zip code directory where you can find, like those are 2 that I can vouch for. Not to be afraid to ask for help until it gets really bad, because I do get artists when they're like, I maxed out every credit card for this film. They come when it's like the furthest point down the line. And I want to encourage people to try to reach out for help before it's like in the full crisis level, if you can.
Similar to your health. I mean, it's a great analogy. People don't feel good and then they can't move from, well, why didn't you go do something about that when it was,
because there's because sadly with certain financial things, especially with credit, marks staying on your credit report for 7 years, like one small mistake can stay for 7 years. And that's like, one, I don't think that system is fair just personally, but
it's not.
Somebody might be able to tell you before it gets to that point, and you got to deal with something 7 years that like you're going to be a whole different person.
And free is never free, and zero is never zero.
Right. And you were asking about scams. What are the big scams I've seen lately? A lot of text message scams, a lot of job scams. So people advertising job positions, but they're really like getting information, or they're saying, oh, well, you need to purchase this thing in order to like do the job. And they're just actually getting money, but there's no anything exchanged. So a lot of illegitimate employers. I've seen a lot of PayPal scams lately where somebody's like sending them money and then saying, oops, I sent it to you by mistake, like send it back to me. And they make it seem really urgent. And so people are getting on the phone, sending money back, but then it's a one way. The money doesn't, whatever came to them was canceled, but then the money they send is gone. I've seen a lot of those lately. Sadly, for my young people, I don't see clients under 18, but I do hear about this. We're on our phones, young people sending either compromising photos or sensitive information, and then essentially getting threatened if they do not send money, that information would be shared.
Yeah. I know some people that actually happened to, but the parents chimed in time, but yeah.
Yeah, that's happening. And just, I would say those are probably the big ones, like a lot of like buying and shipping scam. So really verify like the companies are real companies when you're making purchases, especially if it's online or social media. You'll see an advertisement and you think that it's legit. And
this is Nordstrom, and it's actually China. Yeah.
yeah.
Where can we find you if we want to reach out, talk to you, work with you?
The best ways are my website, which I need to update, but Wealthy Denae, WEALTHY, Wealthy Denae, DENAE.com, has a contact form. And then my email is just Denae@DenaeHannah.com. It's my business email.
We'll put it all in the links.
And yeah, that's probably the best ways to find me. But yeah, and I would say if you email me, just to be really honest, email is not my strong suit. So you might have to follow back up. But I will say energetically, I am here and I want to be of assistance. We're all learning and working on our.
It's so great to see you. It's been such an amazing journey to watch, and you give me hope for the world because we need your mission. That's it. So
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for having this podcast.
Yay. All right, you guys, and we will be back next week for more Creating Victory. Thank you all for listening. Bye.